Right, let's get a check on what's grabbing the headlines here in France this Tuesday with Florence Villeneuve.
Hey, Kat.
Hello there. We're going to start off with a sort of a back to school. I can imagine new satchels, freshly sharpened pencils.
New pens, new outfits.
New shoes. I always liked the new shoes when I was going back to school. Much more serious matters, though, than school, really. We've got 577 members of parliament getting back to work. 424 of them are brand new. That's incredible, isn't it?
Out with the old, in with the new. It's really funny to see the puns in the French press today. Let's start with Aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien. It's not quite a pun, but just a great description of what this first day of school is. They're liking it to a debutante ball. So
I love that image. I think that's great.
Some great outfits at the Assemblée Nationale, which is located in the Palais Bourbon, the Bourbon Palace in the heart of Paris. Now,
sounds like a party already.
Sounds like a party indeed, a southern party. If you look inside Le Parisien, they talk about that traditional description of this first day for this new parliament, the first day of school. But it's a completely unusual, non-standard first day of school. 75% of the parliament was renewed in the recent parliamentary election. It's a record here in France.
It really is. Look at those lovely graphics explaining it all. Among the statistics that are being broken down with all those pie charts and things, we've got a younger and a more feminine parliament. Some of the papers saying it's a bit of a facelift.
It's a complete revolution, in fact. Let's take a look at the front page of La Croix, the Catholic paper, talking about Mesdames les députés, Madame the deputies, the lawmakers. You can see on the front page here, this is a photo of La République En Marche candidate, Laetitia Aviva. She is one of 224 women that were elected to this new parliament. That brings the percentage of women in parliament up to nearly 40%, which is a record here in France. Inside, La Croix applauds the fact that there are more women in parliament, and it has nothing to do with the fact that women supposedly have different qualities to men. La Croix says, first of all, that's unclear whether or not it's true. Women are no better, no worse than men. It's important that they should be where decisions are made. Why is that? Well, because
we're half the population.
Half of humanity. It's about time.
Half the presenting team on Live from Paris, half of humanity, as you say, or even 51% according to the statistics. So lots of focus on what's new in this recently elected parliament, but there are some familiar faces as well.
Just over 150 familiar faces, to be precise. You have, for instance, Marine Le Pen. She's a woman.
Heard of her.
From the far-right National Front. You also have Jean-Luc Mélenchon from La France Insoumise, the far left. And you have the former Prime Minister, Manuel Valls. We've been talking a lot about him recently. He managed to save face and get re-elected in this parliament. And there's a great cartoon in Le Parisien, if we go back to that paper, where they show a group of very suspicious lawmakers looking at him and saying, watch out for him. He fell back a grade, and now he's going to try and impose his law on all us newbies.
All right. Poor Manuel Valls getting a bit of a beating there again. So a lot of these lawmakers, though, apart from Valls, Le Pen, etc., they are unknown to the general public and mostly from the president's party, République En Marche. It's secured this really huge majority in the parliament. And what that majority means is a big question for a lot of people.
Well, it's a big test for La République En Marche, which has just seen the skyrocket in popularity, you know, for a party that hardly existed or didn't exist at all a year and a half ago. It's incredible. Le Parisien says that this is really a baptism of fire for les marcheurs. So these are people who jumped on the bandwagon for La République En Marche. It's quite a diverse bunch. You've got 308 lawmakers from La République En Marche, and they're going to have to prove their worth. Now, in its editorial, Le Figaro comes back on something that a lot of papers say. It's, you know, that Macron is similar to Napoleon Bonaparte, or the god Jupiter, in fact. He's incredibly popular. He knows where he's going, but eventually his star is going to fade. That's what Le Figaro predicts. And they wonder, how united will this motley crew that's on his bandwagon, how united will they be when that star starts to fade?
Well, they are a motley crew in some ways, in that there are lots of newcomers. They are going to be learning the ropes, but they're not necessarily uninteresting people, to say the least. You've got a bit of a focus on one of the perhaps most eccentric, most colourful characters.
That's right. This is the Field Award-winning mathematician Cédric Villani. You can see him here with his trademark spider brooch.
He looks a bit sort of like the Mad Hatter, isn't he? And I say that in a positive way.
Positive way. Well, it's really interesting to see his, opinion, his feeling as he goes into this new parliament. He says what counts is being motivated and humble, knowing that you don't know everything and that you have a lot to learn. Being a lawmaker doesn't mean that you have to wait for instructions. So perhaps he's saying he's not going to necessarily follow Macron's lead. That's indeed what everyone wants to know. But his answer, in a way, is a very Macronian answer, a little bit of left, a little bit of right, a little in the center.
And I think we're going to see some sort of Macronian law changes coming in pretty quickly, aren't we? The president's programme taking on some labour reforms, the way that France's state runs. And that includes some state-run companies. There are a lot of them here in France compared to some other countries like the UK, which has privatised a lot of businesses.
Indeed, and what's interesting is traditionally every time there's a new president, there are a lot of changes at the tops of these state-run companies. For instance, you have the RATP, which takes care of public transport in and around Paris. Now, if we take a look at L'Opinion, which is a pro-business paper, it's focusing on all these changes to expect at the top, liking it actually to a job offer. Macron is searching for men and women for public companies. And I love this cartoon here by CAC in L'Opinion. You can see the Prime Minister there, Edouard Philippe, looking like a bouncer in front of what sounds like an amazing nightclub, Macron's nightclub. And you can see the man there saying, I'm a left-wing politician, but I'm accompanied by a conservative woman from civil society. And that seems to be good enough. You can see Edouard Philippe there saying, all right, you can go into Macron's nightclub.
Okay, perhaps it might even become a real nightclub. Who knows? This whole parliament is so new. Thanks very much, Florence Villeneuve, who'll be back looking through the international headlines for us later on as well.